Hello guys, so here is where we will create a network that has two DHCP servers that could handle now multiple computers. Now the server must be placed in a single location. Hence, the beauty of this is we need to create now virtual local area network in order for us not to utilize as many switches possible. As discussed, VLAN now is very important to reduce redundancy of switches to communicate now with various of computers placed on a different location. So that's our activity for today. Now, how are we going to do this? Let's say we have one building. One building now has 3 floors. And because now of flooding in our locations, in different locations, majority of servers now are put, let's say, on the topmost floor. So let's declare that the third floor now will become our server room. In order for us to do this, first is we need to have 2 servers. So here, declare 2 servers. And then, of course, we need to have a switch. So we're going to have this one is our switch. So let's declare that in these servers, in the floors, let's say in third floor, we have now multiple rooms. In these multiple rooms, it has now different type of computers. So let's say we have 2 rooms. We have here, let's say in third floor, we have 2 rooms, clearing now 2 switches. Just to assume we have now multiple computers, just put 2 here, another 2 here, okay. So this will now be our third floor. Put our color here. This will be our third floor. Oh, sorry. It should be this. Just delete this one. And then put another one here. Okay. This will be our third floor. And on the second floor, let's say we also have 2 separate computers, 2 rooms. But unlike the other, these are separated. Let's say we have here. Let's delete that one. We have here, we have computers. But PC4 and PC5 should be connected with our server 0, and PC6 and PC7 should be connected with server 1. Same true with here. So why do we do this? This is a simulation wherein there could be 2 offices. Okay, there could be 2 offices, or in a certain office, the member or the employee could be connected on a separate server for now access directly now for that. So that is what we're going to simulate here. Meaning 4 and 5 could be on a separate, let's say, a separate place in terms now of access. And so with here 8 and 9. So just to clarify, 4 and 5 should be connected with server 0, 8 and 9 also for server 0, and 6, 7, and 10 and 11 for server 1. Meaning all of this should be connected here. So this will now be for our second floor. So let's just choose a color here. I think this is good. So this will be our second floor. And let's say we just have a few now on our first floor. So let's have a switching in here. Another one here. Let's declare that this is, let's say, our registrar, and this one now will be our accounting. So switch 6 and PC13 should be connected with server 1. Switch 5 and PC12 should be connected with PC0. And just for us to change that. Okay, the different color, pink, I think is good enough for us. And this one. So we're settled. Remember that this is a building, okay? Because this is a building, we want to connect now. Let's say the uplink is here. The uplink of switch 3 should be connected here. Some, depending now on how the wiring is. Sometimes switch 0 to switch 3, the switch 3 now will be the distributing switch going to other switches. Some also create now an automatic going to switch 0. What we're going to do here, let's simulate that they are all on tier 1. Okay. Tier 2. Everything here are on tier 2. Meaning all uplinks, these uplinks from switch 1, switch 3 now is on tier 1, switch 5 gets uplink from switch 3, switch 6 gets uplink now from switch 5. So these are now identifying our discussion pertaining now to our tier. Okay, so let's connect. We're using now a straight through fast Ethernet. Let's say we have one here, and then this one now is for PC2. Here, let's say going to use P fast Ethernet 3 into fast Ethernet 1. So keep all of those in mind, do not forget them. This one now, we have fast Ethernet 2, fast Ethernet 1. So we're going to fix configurations later. So we're just going to update it first. Fast Ethernet 4, fast Ethernet 1, fast Ethernet 2, fast Ethernet 1. This will now become a distribution. So an uplink, so fast Ethernet 3 to fast Ethernet 1, fast Ethernet 2 to fast Ethernet 1. So this is for our switches. So the beauty of this is now only one, there is now a switch that distributes everything now on per network. Number one, we're just going to connect all computers. Here we're going to use 10, and then 11 after that. For uniformity, we're just going to do the same. Okay. Here, remember, this is for server 0. The one now is for server 1, so keep that in mind. I'll be using now 10 and 11 for that. Okay. And I'll be using now 20 and 21. I'll be repeating it here. This is 10. This is 11. 20 and 20. So these computers are just merely simulation. You could add them as many as possible depending now on the capability of your switch or the more free slots you have. So this is now for 10. And same here. Okay, so now we have this. All the hardware are now connected to our switch. First, of course, is we're going to create now our IPs. Fast Ethernet, we need to declare. So this will be RAM 192.168.10.1. So we're having now class C because we don't need as many computers possible connected to this. Only this minimum of number. Then after we have this, it's on. We're going to go with services, DHCP. I'm going to turn this on. The default gateway is what we typed a while ago. We have here. I like to start at 100. Okay. And then we're going to save this one. It's already updated. That should be on. Here, this is now 192.168.20.1. Sorry, it should not be here. It should be on the fast Ethernet. 192.168.20.1 and class. Just to rectify that, 192.168.20.1 and then class. Go with services, DHCP, turn it on, 92.168.20.1. Then I want to start at 100. Save it. Okay. Here in our switch, we're going to have now our config. First, for our VLAN. Let's say the 10 now is here. We use default. Okay. No, yeah, we're going to use the default, so this should be 1, so that we're not going to configure as many as possible. Okay. And then DHCP, we're going to make that as 1 also. Save that. Okay. Double check on that. On 1.1. Okay. Config fast Ethernet 1. Okay. And this is 20. Okay. And that's 20. Okay, good. Yeah. 100. Good with it. First, switch 0. Okay, going to config. We're going to declare our VLAN. The main point we utilize 1 is we're going to use the default. Majority of our configurations now are on default. But remember, there should not be 2 DHCP server in one network. Why? Because the computers, these computers, if there are 2 DHCP servers lurking out here, and they don't know which one is applicable, which one now is suitable, or which one they should connect. So sometimes the DHCP server are just throwing now IP addresses with the computers. That's a problem now in due time. Okay. I'm going to have, so that's 20 because we use the second octet as 20 and then VLAN 20 for declaration. Okay. Now remember on our network. So here we use fast Ethernet 3 to fast Ethernet 1. If we go now here, fast Ethernet 3, there is now a declaration of access and then trunk. Okay. Access means to give information depending now on the VLAN. Trunk means whatever is the VLAN configuration is applicable that could be thrown in your fast Ethernet 3. So that's trunk. Access, that's depending on the VLAN. Okay. Trunk, let's say it's like a highway that any other VLANs could communicate through those to this port. So whichever this is connected to. So because we have fast Ethernet 3 going here, and then we're going to use this one as our, let's say, a distribution. I'm going to go there. Okay. But if for example, there's a direct now here, one network going to that, then we could leave that as an access, depending now on the VLAN that we want. But we don't want it like that. We want it as a distribution. So that's why we use strong. Okay. So here, I'm going to config. We're going to add the VLAN here, VLAN 20. I'm going to add. Okay. Remember a while ago, this is fast Ethernet to port 3, port 1, right? So we're going to go to port 1 and make that also as trunk. Okay, as trunk. Good. And then here, (11) and 10, right? Remember, instruction a while ago is this should be connected now to server 0. So we're going to here, then server 0 access VLAN 1, and then VLAN 1 is okay. We have here config fast Ethernet DHCP. And then one, sorry, let me check on that. Ethernet 2. Fast Ethernet 2 should be on, yeah, I missed a step here. Fast Ethernet 2, it should be on VLAN 2, not on default. Okay. Fast Ethernet 1, it should be in VLAN 1. Checking that. Fast Ethernet 2. Fast Ethernet 1. That's why here we're detecting the 20. Alright, now we are at 1. A while ago, that's 192.168.20.100. Problem that 1. The problem is I forgot here to set for Fast Ethernet 2 as VLAN 20. So it's like there are being arrays for server 0 and server 1. Apparently, server 1 just approached PC0 as the first DHCP server. So that's why we go back and check on the VLAN of server 1. Go here, DHCP, and then we have that. Okay. We have again here, remember, this should be Fast Ethernet 2, Fast Ethernet 1. This should become as a trunk also. Trunking, okay. After it is become trunk, I'll just double check on that. I'm going to declare now the VLAN 20. VLAN 20, that's just going to add, check that this should be on trunk because this is an uplink, there should be trunk. And then here in 10 and 11, we're going to change this as VLAN 20. Okay, so you're going to get data at VLAN or IP address at VLAN 20. Just going to wait until it's until the switch recognize now the changes that we have. So if you hover, you could see now VLAN 10 and 11 are Fast Ethernet 10 and 11 at VLAN 20. Okay. So and we're going to check here, config, Fast Ethernet, DHCP, VLAN 20. Okay, here also. config fast Ethernet, and we have the IP address at VLAN 20. Then we're just going to repeat. Remember, trunk to trunk, then access going now to our computer. Maybe you're going to forget, sir, I forget which port I use. So just hover on this, then you're going to see. So that's, we have fast Ethernet 4. For this one, fast Ethernet 1. So we're going to have it here. Fast Ethernet 4, trunk. Okay. Once it's trunk, we have here, switch. Fast Ethernet 1, it should be trunk. Then we're not going to forget VLAN 20. VLAN 20, going to add. And we're just going to wait. Remember, these two should be on default, and then the other two now should be on VLAN 20, because what we want is PC6 and PC7 should get IP from server 1. That's VLAN 20. Check the port, so fast Ethernet 20, and this is 21. So because these are default, we could leave it at that. 20, no, that's still access. We're going to put it at VLAN 20, so fast Ethernet 21. That's now at VLAN 20. Okay. Now it's being identified. The rest, this is 10 and 11, so they are in default, that's why it's 10. That's in 1. Do with PC4 config, fast Ethernet, DHCP, so it will detect now IP address in the server, so that's now 1.10, so that's correct. Here, fast Ethernet, so we have now here, so 1.2, 111, so that's correct also. So PC6 config, fast Ethernet, DHCP server, so 20, VLAN 20, and we're just going to repeat. So this is on the global, so this is our gateway here, fast Ethernet. Remember again, trunk to trunk, so port 2, port 1. Port 2, we're going to make that as trunk. Okay. Port 1. That's not. Right, so port 1. Trunk also. And not forget the VLAN 20. VLAN 20 while it's still configuring, checking on the access. We have that VLAN 20. Remember, they are default, so that's okay. Only our concern is this one, VLAN 20. Hover on that, so that's 20, and then 21. And we're just going to repeat what we have done previously. We have that here. Okay. And then we're just going to check and make the computers as the DHCP IP configuration. So it will now detect the IP. Do the settings, DHCP, okay, we're good here. And then of course, check until the computers being identified. Okay, we're good here. And, okay, 20. Now remember, on this portion, only PC12 is for server 0. PC13 now is for server 1. Then we have, we need to identify first, make it as a trunk. So that's port 3 and port 1. Port 3, trunk. Port 1 also is trunk. So while they are being configured, so we're going to put now VLAN 20 going to add that, identifying the ports here. So if I'm not mistaken, that's 10. It's also 10. Okay. Then checking now this one. It's port. So we're just going to make that as trunk. 110. So because this is automatically going to server 0 as a default, so no need to configure there. Just going to put here in our fast Ethernet as DHCP, and then automatically get from server 0. So that's the beauty of having to use the default. So automatically, majority of our configuration, we're not going to do anything as much because that's a default anyway. 20, then VLAN 20. Need to add that there. For port 10. To change that as VLAN 20. Okay. And we're just going to wait until they are identified. And why does it have 50? Going to check why is it 50? That's an unknown IP address. And then now it's 10. Okay. So we're going to check if there are communication. So here are server 0, here are server 1. On the left side are server 0, on the right are server 1. This is server 0, this is server 1. So server 0 here, so successful communication. Server 1, PC13, successful communication. So if you could check now, for example, serve PC4 to PC11, PC9, sorry, successful communication because now they're in one single configuration for VLAN. For PC6 to PC13, of course, that's still successful. But if we try to communicate PC5 to PC7, and that should be failed because we have now not in one communication. So that is now configuring 2 DHCP servers in 3 floors, okay, 3 building floors, identifying now the other configurations. The main important of this is, even though we are using single switch, because now of virtual local area network, we could create now, it's like mimicking 2 switches into single servers are communicated in one network. So that's the beauty of virtual local area network. Okay. Thank you for listening. Bye guys.